Hey Wonder Girls, Wonder A here, and I have a special guest star coming in with me, Cassandra here. Cassie, would you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Cassie. I am 24 years old, and I graduated from UTEP 2 years ago as an electrical engineer. And now I live in Michigan, where I work at General Motors as an engineer.
Awesome, and General Motors, what is that?
So General Motors is one of the American automotive companies where we work on 4 different brands: the Chevy, Buick, GMC, and Cadillac.
Awesome, and what do you do there?
So I specifically work on Cadillacs and our new vehicle intelligence platform. So basically it is a semi-autonomous system for our new vehicles.
And what's it like being an engineer with everything?
It's really fun. I get to incorporate everything I learned in college in the real world, specifically on cars. They're basically really big robots, so it's fun.
That's true. I know a lot of you girls might want to be, of course, a doctor or a veterinarian or maybe an engineer. So it's really cool that we have Cassie here to show us what it would be like to be an engineer, just because she works in one aspect of engineering. And I really think that it's awesome. So in case some of you guys want to, or maybe are thinking of becoming an engineer, then this is a great opportunity for you girls to see what it's like. Alrighty, Cassie, so today we're gonna be doing some coding, and Cassie's gonna help us out through the way, of course, because I am not the best at coding. This is the first time that I'm gonna be doing anything, so I'm gonna be learning along with you girls. So let's get started. Alrighty, Wonder Girls, and today we're gonna be working with coding, and we're gonna do an awesome thing. We have a great surprise for you girls, so can you explain, Cassie, what we're gonna be doing today?
Yeah, so we will be using the website code.org, and we will be creating this game where there will be 2 little circles, and we'll call them whatever we want. I'll call them a ball, whatever. And we'll have a table, sort of like Pong. Have you ever played Pong, Andrea?
Yes, I have.
So basically the ball falls, hits the table, bounces off the walls, hits the table. So that's basically what we'll be making.
So I know it's gonna hard for you girls to see right now, but once we do make it, you're gonna be able to, maybe some of you guys will recognize it, some others might not, but it's a pretty simple, pretty great game that can keep you occupied for a couple of hours. And the greatest part about it is that you guys are actually gonna be the ones coding it, designing it, making it. It's gonna be your own game, and you can show it to your family. They can also play it with you, or whatever you guys would like. So I think that's pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah, so let's get started. So we'll go to code.org, and basically you'll have to create an account. So you go to sign in, and here you would have to use a valid email and a valid password. Create the same password. Match your passwords on password and password confirmation. So here I'll go ahead and type in an email so I can make a new account.
So if you girls don't know what email to use or what password to use, make sure that you girls ask your guardian or whoever is there to help you girls out, so that they can let you know which one you guys can use. And also make sure that you girls remember it, so that next time whenever you have to log in or you want to log in, you can just log in easily.
Yep, so you type that in, go to sign up, and here you will be stating what kind of account it is. You all will be putting in student. If a parent will be making this account for you, go ahead and allow them to click the I am a parent, but in this case, we're just gonna skip that. Go ahead and write a display name. My name is Cassie, so I'll write Cassie. Age, I am 24 years old, so I'm gonna put 21 plus. Gender, you don't have to put that, but I'll put in female, and then you go to my account. And just like that, you made an account. So here, this is called my dashboard. You will find all your super cool projects. I don't have any super cool projects yet, so it's empty. We will be going to Game Lab, where we will be creating our game that I was telling you about.
Awesome.
So we go into here, and very first thing, we will be, okay, so basically the way this works is this is a drag and drop type of programming. They're blocks. But essentially the language we're using is JavaScript. So once we start putting down our blocks, I will show you what it really looks like in text form.
And the reason why we say, girls, that it's a drag and drop is basically because you have these little tabs on the side. I don't know if you girls can see it. They're the yellow tabs with the green tab, and you can just grab onto them with your mouse and then just drag them over to the other side of the screen where you're actually gonna be putting the data in, and then just drop it in there. Do you see it that? All right, so let's get started with the actual coding of it.
Great. Okay, so we are gonna start off with an empty workspace because we want to start from scratch. Now, what we will be doing is we will be inserting. We're gonna be going to functions and inserting a comment. Why comments? Because we want to make sure our code is readable to other people. And this is easy to read. We can type the name of the game. Let's just name it. What do you want to name it? Ball game?
Ball game.
Ball game. That'll be the name of the game. And our next thing will be, in order for this game to work, we need to add invisible edges on the screen so that the ball can bounce off.
Right.
So the only way to do that is we will be going to our sprites options, and we will be going to create edge sprites.
So if we don't set up that edge, the balls are just gonna go off of the screen, of course.
Great.
So we have to make a boundary.
Correct. So let's add a comment real quick explaining this. Adding edges, right? Just so we know what that means. Great. Step number 2. Now we'll be creating 2 of our balls. The balls I mentioned that will be bouncing off the ground.
Right.
Creating balls, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we will be going to, these balls will be variables because we need to, what's a variable? It's an object or any type of thing we can use within our code. Anything could be a variable. Cup, person, anything, as long as you give it a value.
Right.
So we'll be putting in our first variable, and our first variable will be called first ball, right? And then what goes along with it is, we'll just leave this as is. These are just X and Y coordinates on the
They're
screen.
the measurements of the...
Yep. So basically, if you see my mouse moving, this is essentially where it would be, about right here, 200x, 200y, 200, 200. And then we will be adding the animation. We need to give it life.
So girls, you are more than welcome to pause the video and just like explore around this area. So if you girls would like to change the 200 and 200 and see what that does, you're more than welcome to. The bigger thing to keep in mind here is that this is you guys' code, so make it your own, you know? And explore it so that you know what you're working with and that you can get used to it.
Exactly. So here what I did was I just stated where I wanted the variable to be, like in what place in this square. And here I just gave it life. I gave it a name first. I gave it its name first ball, and I gave it the animation. Now we'll move on to animations later. You will see how we create this specific animation. So we'll do the same thing because we want to add 2 balls, right? So we'll do second ball.
So you just repeat those same steps?
Yep. And then you set the animation again, and then you just type in this. Make sure that every time you add another variable, make sure you write the names correctly. Because if you do not, then you will get errors in your code. All right, next thing, we created the balls. Now we want to create the table. Remember the table I said that goes in the bottom?
Right, the little bar.
Yeah, so that bar, you can name it bar actually. That makes more sense. So create moving bar, right? And here we'll be doing literally the same thing. We'll be creating our variable again and giving it an animation. So we can call it bar. We'll leave it, we don't want it in the middle. Why? Because we want it at the bottom. It's kind of like a little table at the bottom catching the ball. So we're gonna bring it down a little bit. Instead of 200, we're gonna give it this value, the Y value of 350. And we'll see what that looks like in a bit. And then we set the animation as we did before with the balls. Bar, oops, bar. And here, well, you're like, okay, well, what does this even look like? Let's go ahead and go to animation. Right now we're in code, let's go to animation. Here we'll be actually drawing out our animation. So let's go to create our own. And here I want it at, let's make it to, let's resize our drawing area. We want to make it to 25 by 25.
The answer is 625.
So girls, remember that this is the part where you can get more creative. This is where you make it your own. You change the colors that you want them to be. You change the sizes. Just, you know, explore, go crazy.
Exactly. So here I'm gonna use the circle tool. I'm gonna drag and create a big circle, as big as I can. And then I'm gonna color it in with this paint bucket tool. Let's color it. What color do you want, Andrea?
I think yellow. If you girls have been watching the videos, you guys know yellow is my favorite color.
Does that look like yellow?
That does not look like yellow. It looks like fail.
Okay,
That
let's
looks
make
like
it a little bit
green.
yellowy. There you go.
Perfect.
So it looks a little bit to the bottom, so you go ahead and go crop the sprite and it'll make it to the correct size. So let's go ahead and name that what was our ball, our first
ball.
First ball? First ball. Second ball. Now we really don't have to make another one. Why? Because we can just copy paste it. It's
Right, the
technically the
easiest
same
way
thing.
to do it.
Now we want to name this one second ball and we color it a different color. What color do you want?
Blue.
Blue. There you go. Great. Now we need our table. Our table will need we need a new animation. We go ahead, we want to make it kind of like a rectangle, a
long table.
Yeah, exactly. So let's go ahead and make this height a little bit shorter, but keep the width longer as well.
So girls, remember that width is the size like this. Is it vertical, Cassie?
Horizontal.
The horizontal size is going to be your width, and then the height is going to be those at the end whenever we're talking about that rectangle.
Yep, and we'll go ahead and color our table as well. Let's color it red, purple. Is this purple?
Purple.
Yeah, it's purple. Purple.
Awesome.
Crazy colors. Okay, and we're naming this bar because that's another I wanted to name it, bar.
So notice, girls, how this time she didn't make another drawing inside of that graph. She just used the whole graph to make that little bar right there.
Yep, since I already made the rectangle, might as well use the rectangle that's already there. So we go to code and let's hit run. See what this looks like. Oh, I know why it doesn't run. Because we haven't actually
Added the function.
added the bar. So we don't even have a bar as far as, what's it called? The balls, they're supposed to be moving. So we haven't added those different functions yet. As
Right, so the code has to be able, guys, think of the actual website as, I don't know, like a robot reading something that you're typing to it. So basically the robot doesn't know what you want it to do if you don't tell it exactly what you want it to do. So you could give it a ball, but the robot is not gonna know what you want it to do with the ball until you tell the robot, hey, I want you to be able to move the ball from here to there, and I'm giving you these boundaries. And I don't know if you girls have noticed yet, but obviously Cassie is adding some comments. They're in the gray little boxes there, and the comments are there to help you girls guide and to separate what each of the little tabs that she's making are meant for.
Yes, so here the next thing we need to do is we need to let the program know that we will have these circles colliding within the actual bar and the edges, right? So we set colliders to circles because that is what they are. So then we go to our sprites toolbox and we go to set collider. And here we will be giving it the names of our variables, which is the first one being first ball. And it's not a rectangle. It automatically sets it up as rectangle, but we're not using a rectangle, we're using circles. So we just drop down menu, hit circle. And we do the same thing for our second ball. So second ball.
And girls, remember that what Cassie said to keep typing the word the same way you are typing it always, just so that the code can read it correctly. Because if you give it a first ball and then you suddenly change the name to ball first, the code is, the robot is obviously gonna be like, well, what's this and this? If you gave me two different names and you gave me functions for only this one, but then you gave me colors for only this one, and etc.
Exactly. So our next thing, the balls are moving. So let's give them some speed. Add some speed, right? So if we add some speed, we will have to go to our velocity option. So we scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. Do you see it?
It's like velocity, yeah, it was right there.
Oh, there it is. So then, same thing, we add our variables, first ball, and let's give it a velocity of, here we can mess around with it. Let's just add some numbers so that when we actually have them come to life, we'll see what happens. If not, we can just change it up.
So that's one of the greatest things about these two girls, that You can run the code after you're done with it, and if you want to change any little thing, you're more than free to, because you can simply go back to the coding and just change a number, change a color, change a shape. It's easy as that.
Great, so here everything we just did, we added variables and we gave it parameters. We gave it velocity, we gave it a size, we gave it an animation. Now our code is like, okay, what do I do with that now? So now, like Andrea said earlier, let's give it a function. Let's make it do something. So let's go ahead and add a function block. We're gonna call this our draw block, because we're gonna draw out our game with this, right? So our first thing is we want to clear our background. Just in case our background has some random little things on it, we want to make sure it is empty.
And make sure that you girls are putting these new blocks inside of that function bar, okay? Notice that the function bar is built like an alligator with a mouth inside of it. So then you just need to make sure that you guys, every time you add something for this one function, you guys are putting it inside of the alligator's mouth.
So yes, so then we clear the background, we set it as white. We want it as white all the time. We can change that to any color. We'll go ahead and see that later on when we see the difference, different colors. So now we want to give the player directions. How do you play this game? You can't just throw them out there and be like, here, figure it out. You got to show them how to play. So we said we were going to use our left and right arrows. So let's teach the person that will be using our game how to use our game. So we put a comments instruction so that we know that's where our instructions go. We go to our drawing blocks and we will go to our text. Let's put in some text. Where is it? Text, there it is. I'm just a little blind. So here we will write just use.
So this is what the player is gonna be seeing.
Yep, use left and right arrows. Oh no, keys. We have to be specific. Keys to move the bar. Oops, I misspelled bar. To move the bar. And let's put that at the very top, because sort of like up here, if you see the mouse again, you see the mouse, if you see the X and Y values, you will see how it's changing. So we're gonna move it to the top so that it gets out of our way. So let's just add 40, see what that does once we start going on. So let's move on. We added our instructions. Now we want the balls to bounce off the edges and off the bar, right? So again, it's a lot of redundancy, but you should always add comments so that you know what's going on. So make circles bounce off walls and bar, right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
So our next thing is we go back to our red blocks, our sprite blocks, and you will go to bounce off, because that's literally what we're doing. Oh no, we need space. Oops. Bounce off right down here, and we do our first ball. Remember, we have to make sure that every variable is spelled correctly. Now, bounce off the edges, right? Because I just said that we wanted to bounce off the edges. And then we add another one, bounce off, and we bounce off the table, because, not the table, the bar that goes at the bottom, right? And since we have another ball, we do the same thing. We go to bounce off, we type in second ball, right? That's our second variable. Same thing, edges. And then we do the same thing for our bar.
So you do have to be very specific with it, because like I said, the robot doesn't know what to do until you tell it what to do.
Exactly. Your computer is not gonna read your mind. You have to tell it what to do. All right, so now we need to be able to move our bar left and right. So that's the next step. So again, what do we add? A comment. So now we go to, we type in move table, sorry, not table, keep calling it the table, move bar left and right. And here we will be drawing out, these blocks are a little bit different. These are if blocks, if and else blocks. So if I do this, this will happen. If I do that, this other thing will happen. So we will be using our if else block for this one. because we want to show that if you press the left key button, you will go left. If you press the right key, you'll go right. So our next step is to add our key option. So if you go to key down, meaning it's waiting for the user to press one of the keys on the computer. So it's not up, we want to go left, right? Let's do left first. And then we want to go into here and add we want to go right here and we want to add our actual what's it called, our bar, because that's what we're moving, right? So we add our bar, and then on the other side, bar.x. Why x? Because we're just moving on the x plane. Earlier Andrea said horizontal and vertical. This is horizontal, x plane, vertical, y plane. So we're not going to be moving the bar up and down, we're going to be moving it left and right. And we will be putting another one of these right in here. I'll explain a little later why we're doing this. I'm just gonna throw, actually, my bad. Let's not put that yet. Oh no. So sometimes you make mistakes like this and you have to delete it. It's okay, you can go back in there, put it again. Bar. And over here, we will be, why are we adding a math block? Because we want it to move certain steps to the left or to the right. So if we move by one, the bar is gonna be moving so slow. So let's add a bigger number. Let's add a plus block, because we wanna move to the left. Oh, actually, I am wrong. We need to add I can't delete this block. Oh, over here. Oh, there you go. Since we're going to the left, we're subtracting. So we will be putting in there another x value in here. And we'll be putting our bar minus 5, because we'll be going left. And then here, we will have to add an else statement here. So for some reason, the block doesn't give us an else if statement, so that we can add another key down. So here, it's really tricky. You have to follow the rules. You go to show text. And in text, you're gonna see all this wording. Don't be scared, just go to else, right here where I have it, line 31. You type in if, you open parentheses, and then you put key down, it'll auto-populate. Go ahead and click key down, and then put in quotations the word right, because we will be going right. And then add one more parentheses, and then go ahead and go back to show blocks.
So that was basically the same thing that you girls saw right now. They're both codings, it's just one is gonna be a little bit of the coding without the blocks, the one that's a little bit harder to work with, while the other one is the easier, more simplified one that shows you colors and everything to make it easier.
Yeah, sometimes when you run into roadblocks and you need to change things up so that it works with your code, you need to go in there and manually change things, which is what we just did right here. Okay, so once we're here, we do the same thing. We go ahead and add our bar again, because we're moving now to the right side, which is plus, because we're not going to the left side. So we go ahead and add a plus block, and we go ahead and add our bar in there, because we'll be moving it. And let's move by 5, let's keep it the same. That way it's not all jumpy and weird. So there you go, now we're moving back side to side. Now that we have everything, the only thing we're missing is we need to show our images, right? We can't see them. So how do we add them? We go ahead and again, we add a comment, and we go show images, because we want to see everything that we just did. And we go to world blocks, and you go to draw sprites. As soon as you put that in there, your code will come to life. It should come to life. So we go to reset, and let's go to run.
Awesome!
There it is. So again, if we hit left and right, you want to go ahead and test it out, see if our left and right buttons work.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm pressing to the right and then to the left, so that, oh, there it is. The circles are bouncing off of my bar so that they don't go down. Oh, That one went down.
So earlier Andrea said, what if you change things? You could add things. It looks like the balls are moving a little bit too fast, right? So if we let's see what this does. If we change the 5 or the 8 to a, I don't know, a 6. Again, you go to reset and then just hit run. And we actually changed the second ball, which is the blue one. So if you see it, it's kind of moving a little slower, right?
So anytime you girls want to change the code or anything, make sure that you girls do press that reset button once again and then that run button so that it takes that code in, okay?
Yep, and you can go back and change whatever things you want. Go ahead and add a third ball. Go ahead and make the bar move up and down if you want. Go ahead and change it up. Go back to animation. Maybe you don't like the colors Andrea picked. Maybe they're a little too much.
The possibilities are endless. Good, let your creativity
change it
run.
red. Let's go back to the code. And there it is, it's red again.
And once again, girls, we want to see what you guys' code ends up looking like. So take pictures, make sure you guys show us. We want to see how awesome and how creative you guys were able to get. So we're just gonna continue off with some questions. And it's just like, basically, what is coding, Cassie?
So coding could be a variety of things, whether it can be actually you're programming actual text on a computer, or it could be like we just did, where you're dragging and dropping blocks. But essentially you're teaching a robot or a machine to do stuff. It can't do anything without you teaching it, because they're pretty much dumb. They don't have brains. You are the brains.
And where do we use coding? Where can we find it in our everyday lives?
So you can actually find it in your smartphone. You can find it on your computer. Something as simple as a washing machine or a dryer. Why? Because a lot of you have those dryers, those digital dryers. You go in there, washing machine, set it up to a full load. How does the machine know when the water is full? Well, it has sensors. It understands, okay, water's full, let's start washing. It starts moving, you know, the motor and all that stuff. There's programming everywhere, even in vehicles. Autonomous, self-driving cars. You need to teach cars not to run into people. You need to teach cars to drive by themselves. Imagine you don't have a steering wheel anymore, and you're just chilling, relaxing in the back of your car, and you're trusting this car to take you to school. You got to make sure that the person who made that car, the person who created the software for that car, did it right.
Right, so, and that is something that Cassie here does actually. That's where she works, right, Cassie?
Yeah.
Like dealing with your everyday cars, and she's trying to make them so that they can drive themselves basically, which is pretty freaking cool. And this is kind of the coding that she has to use, but a lot harder, of course. And it's just great to see that this is a little bit to show of what you could do with being an engineering girl. So another thing is, what is your favorite part about being an engineering girl, Cassie?
My favorite part is teaching others. I enjoy teaching and I enjoy learning. I don't know everything. I definitely do not.
Right.
And I definitely enjoy I learn something new every day. If I learn how to build a new robot, I learn how to program something new, a new language, I like to be like, hey Andrea, have you ever seen this on, I don't know, the TV or something? Like, I really enjoy, I'm really passionate about learning. I'm really passionate about robotics. Those are my two favorite things.
And do you have any friends, like girlfriends, that are in engineering as well?
Yeah, actually, majority of my friends are mechanical engineers. So I am an electrical engineer. But learning from them what they do, all their classes that they took, thermodynamics, thermal fluids, all the thermals in the world, it's really interesting learning from them. You empower yourself from being with other people, and you learn from them, so that's great.
And lastly, did you ever think you were gonna do this?
Oh yes, definitely. When I was in 5th grade, I think 4th, 5th grade, I knew I'm gonna be an engineer. I didn't know what kind of engineer, but I knew I was gonna be an engineer.
So yeah, girls, there is a lot of different types of engineering. Of course, whenever we made that bridge, that was more like a civil engineer. They're in charge of the bridge making, designing, anything landscape like that in the city, how you see the city, the houses and everything. That's all engineers, really. So I hope you girls loved this this workshop. I think it was great. I learned so much. I actually did not know how to use any of this. And I hope you girls show your parents, show your family, show your brothers and sisters, and that you girls got creative. And once again, that you girls show us everything that you guys did. I am so excited to see you girls for the next workshop. Thank you and have a great day, and never stop thinking, girls.